What if the reason you feel stuck, you feel numb, you feel shut down in life isn't because you haven't done enough healing? What if that same part of you that built your success, like kept you in like doing the work, that processing, but it's also that part probably that is keeping you disconnected from your body? Because here is what no one is saying out loud out there, is that you can be highly successful. You can be like, oh, I'm so on my path, but you still overall cannot feel anything, nothing in life. You feel like shut down. You still feel numb. You still feel like you're circling around in the same old patterns, and you feel that. Or you don't feel that, but you feel there is something that is happening all the time. Why I shut down? And it's not because you are failing. It's because your system have learned that coping strategy. Like it's safer to understand everything than to feel everything. So today I'm going gently to dismantle that in this video, and we're going deeper. So there is probably a version of you who either has it all together on the outside, it looks like that, and is deeply committed to the inner work on the inside. But you still, you have that in place, in order, and you're doing the inner work, but you still feel disconnected from the body. You don't feel like, like deep joy that you should feel, because it's your soul's essence, birthright. No grounded softness, no real sense of being really yourself. You basically are just functioning in life, processing, you keep on trying. And probably, if you can be very honest with yourself, you're tired of going into the same kind of circles. And I have to say, what from my point of view, like can be a truth to that, is that numbness and that feeling of shutdown you have been trying to fix. It's not really a flaw. It is really your nervous system trying to protect you. And it's your inner, your inner protector, like also the inner critic doing its job amazingly well, basically. So what I want to do today, as I said before, we're going to unpack exactly how that really works, this pattern, and why, both high performing and women that are deep in their healing loops experience this so much. And also I talk for myself, and how to come back to your body without forcing it, so that because I see so many times, a lot of women who are stuck in their mental body and then in the emotional body, but really cannot connect and reconnect the safety in their physical body, and look more and more, and having that capacity to look in their soul essence in their body. So I really want to talk, like I see so many women in the healing spaces, like awakening, and then you drop into certain different healing spaces, cycles, you name it, like the twin flame relationship, or you jump into another whatsoever rabbit hole. Or I'm talking to the women in their leadership, entrepreneurship, and you have done tons of personal development work. It can be, it can be both. Because if I'm talking to the women in leadership, you are high performing, you lead, you achieve, you hold it all together, and people come to you probably for guidance, like, how did you do that in life and how are you so successful? And, if I'm looking and zooming in on the other women, you have done years of inner work, going to another retreat, or you are aware and you're reflective and doing the work. So probably you have tried so multiply different modalities, but what I believe and see that underneath you share the same experience. You understand your patterns, but they keep on repeating, right? You can explain your emotions, but you struggle to feel them fully, probably in your body, because you don't feel safe enough. You crave deeply that softness and embodiment, but you cannot quite land it there in your body to feel safe to connect to that. So if you really connect to the identity of entrepreneurship and leadership, you can feel stuck in the success that you build, and you feel like, this is that identity, and I feel like it's not really aligned with who I truly am. And if I'm looking to the other identity of the spiritual healer or the whatsoever, you can also be stuck in that. It's really on an identity level where you can be really stuck in a pattern, and if you keep on going in that way, you go in or fight or flight or in the freeze, because it's not only that you don't hold the capacity to be in the middle of it and your window of tolerance, so that you are regulated and you have the capacity to deal. I'm a shutdown, I can come back, and this is the anchor back to my window of tolerance, that 0 point in my God essence, my soul essence, basically. The moment you are trapped basically in an identity, your essence feels like, okay, I need to perform right now. So I feel mediocre, so let's just shut down. And let's just take on a strategy of the nervous system because it's literally a threat to the nervous system be doing a performance, basically. You have a stage, and on the stage you need to perform, and you get off that stage. And, you hear also with many actors and actresses, they tune out during the moment that they need to perform. And this is exactly the same thing that is happening in your life. You assume and you tune out on an automatic pilot. And what you want is, you really want to connect to your soul essence, to your midpoint, your 0 point. I call that the window of tolerance, where you feel connected to your true self and where you don't need to perform and hide under an identity. So basically, that is where you feel safe to step out of that identity that you created for yourself. And it's really the signal to your subconscious, unconscious, and your body, and the patterns that it hold, like, okay, it's safe for me to be safe, to be in my true essence. So I really want to dive into, as I'm talking a lot about nervous system and safety, let's dive into what emotional numbness actually is. Because emotional numbness is not emptiness. It is intelligent disconnection. It is your system saying, this is too much for me to feel right now, or it's not true. Let me just reduce that intensity, like, it's really the shutdown response. And it's important to understand that shutdown doesn't always looks like collapse. It can look like a continuous self-analysis. Analysis is paralysis. You know what I mean. So consuming content but not changing, you feel just like, ooh, you know, like the over scrolling. You feel calm, but you just like on an autopilot and you feel super disconnected. You are doing the work, but without embodying it and being in that embodiment and expression of that. And that is why so many women feel like that they are in that loop, you know, because numbness can disguise itself as growth. And that's really, as I said, you know, it's like in that performance, in that, you know, it's really tricky and it's so subtle. So let's go deeper and talk about the inner protector mechanism, because your inner protector is not your enemy. You know, it can be your inner critic, but it is the part of you that needed to adapt early in life when you were a child probably, and it learned really different coping strategies depending on who you are, because each body is different. So for the high achieving woman, as an example, let's stay in control, let's stay composed, and that's how we feel safe. And for the women who are deep in the healing work, it's said like, so let's keep on searching and let's keep figuring it out, almost like a hypervigilant tendency. That is how we stay safe. And you know, it are different strategies, but it holds the same goal. You know, like avoiding the feeling of something in the body that isn't ready yet to process, basically. It's really strategy of avoidance. And I have to say, this is really a very honest truth, is that both control and constant healing can, you know, like both control and constant healing can become forms of avoidance, as I said. So it's not a conscious avoidance, it's like really a protective, unconscious avoidance. So as I said already before about the inner critic, let's dive deeper in talking about the internal inner critic. So this part can be very sneaky, it can be very subtle, because it sounds different depending on where you are. So let's focus on the high performer, if you relate to that. I mean, it doesn't, you can be also the high performer and doing the spiritual work, but you can be that or that, you know. It can be also, it can be all sort of combinations. So for the high performer, you can hear yourself saying within yourself like, oh, you should have handled this already. You know, don't lose control. Stay sharp, super focused. And for the women in, for example, in healing loops, you know, why are you still here? Why is that not healed? You have done so much work already. So what is wrong with you, basically? So both internal voices serve the same function. It keeps really in your head or in your emotional body, because your head feels safer, or your emotional body, than the body itself. And what you really need to understand is, when I'm talking about being in the body, and I'm really connected to physical body, because we have our mental body, we have our emotional body, we have our spiritual body, and I said the physical body. And when the mental and the emotional body are super active and overriding the physical body, you are not grounded. You're disconnected from the body, basically, and you're not embodying, and you are not connecting to your true essence to express it in the world. That is basically really what it is. You are disconnected from source, from your heart, from your true being, basically. So it keeps you, or in that emotional, like in the pain body, and feeling, like you need to drag yourself through life. But mental, like the hypervigilance, and like you know how that feels, that high mental state awareness. And both can be a mix of, because the whole day we traveling through the different bodies. But what I really want to reach also in my own work, and why it is my passion to rewire and stretch more the nervous system, so you have more that tendency and a capacity to have more a understanding and of your ecosystem, of your nervous system blueprint, so that you can detect, okay, this is what is happening. I have the control and the tools, so I can regulate it more. And it's not only that you should be perfectly regulated all the time, because that's impossible in this world. That is like a complete fantasy, but it is really to understand the level of your nervous system, so you have more opportunity and possibility to live in that alignment of your soul's essence. So coming back to the inner critic doesn't actually want to sabotage you, hurt you. It really wants to prevent exposure, because feeling deeply is really unpredictable. So and unpredictability is potential danger to the nervous system. So this is a good bridge to talk about the nervous system itself. Let's make that very simple here, because your nervous system is always scanning and asking, is it safe to feel? Because when we feel, and this is the thing, the window of tolerance, I talk about that a lot, is when we are numb or in the fight or flight strategy, when we are like just in that dissociation, or when we are not associated with life, because life is feeling, life is connected to our heart, to our true essence, we are tuned out, then the nervous system is using one of the few coping mechanisms just to tune out. And it's really scanning, am I safe to feel? That's basically really your connection to your true essence. And if the answer is no, it will or redirect you into the strategy of thinking, controlling, analyzing, numbing out, zoning out, and going into that shutdown mode. And I have to say there are 3 core states, and that is fight, control, perfection, the intensity, the flight, when you see yourself going in complete overworking, overthinking, constant seeking. And maybe also validation, right? It's really that hyper-vigilant energy. And then the freeze, the shutdown, you feel that numbness, disconnection, and the levels of feeling stuck. And I have to say that when working with a lot of women, high performers often live in their fight or flight and then drop into shutdown in the collapse. And that is like, and bam, it's very intense. And women in healing loops often live into seeking, learning, and then it's going into shutdown when, a person really feels overwhelmed, like, oh, I feel all the energies and etc. It really comes down to the nervous system. Again, different paths, but same destination. It really leads to disconnection from the body, from your soul. So why you feel stuck, and let's go deeper, or let's say, the shutdown. So let's going deeper into the loop explained. So here's the loop that no one explains clearly from my point of view. You feel disconnected, so you try to fix it. You analyze, you learn, or you push through. Your system feels that pressure. It shut down even more, and you feel even more disconnected. Does that sound familiar? And then you think, oh gosh, I need to do more work. But more work isn't here the answer, because the issue isn't lack of awareness, it's a lack of feeling safety in the body. So, and this is of course the title of the video, The Truth About Feminine Energy. Let's dive into that, because your feminine energy is not something you need to earn. It's something your body allows when you are connected to that aliveness, from that window of tolerance, where you feel really connected to life. Because the thing is, when you are in that window, you feel alive. You feel, this is really how we connect to our feminine essence, and it only allows to open to that when you feel safe in the body, because feminine energy is feeling and tuning into the sensations. Like a sense of softness, emotional, available, being open to receive. And it's not only that, but also if we look at the masculine traits in us, is really also holding that presence. And all of that, and coming back to the feminine energy, all of that requires that your nervous system trusts that you won't overwhelm yourself, and the blueprint of your nervous system and how to work with that. So you don't push yourself anymore, you don't fix yourself anymore, but you just be with yourself. And there is no performance needed anymore. That's then done. So let's shift it. Let's shift it a little bit, because I talked a lot, right? So this is where your power actually is. It's not about doing more, but is relating to, but in relating differently in what is happening on the inside, instead of, why am I still like this? Try, what is my nervous system protecting me right now? Instead of pushing through the numbness, the shutdown, you get really curious about it. You're going to observe. Because, numbness is not a wall. It's really literally a doorway for you to understand the map of your nervous system blueprint. So let's going deeper in a practical reconnection. Let's make it very simple here, because you don't need another new breakthrough, more awareness. You need feel safe in the small moments, Let's drop into this. Start here. Feel your breath. It starts always with micro moments. Feel your breath without changing it. Place your hand on your body and notice the sensation. You can put your hand on your heart or wherever you are guided to. And stay present for a few seconds, or longer than usual. Allow yourself that. And let it be subtle. Not 100%, just 5% more. And you are holding there yourself in presence. Because your nervous system doesn't trust all the performance and the intensity. It trusts micro consistency. So if you recognize yourself in this whole video that I created, whether you're a woman who holds it all together or the woman who has been doing the inner work for many years, You know, I really created something for you, a free mini course designed to help you gently come back and really understand what the first levels are, to reconnect to your body and to really move through the first levels of that. It's a free mini program under an hour. You know, what I really adapted in that program is you understand your nervous system more in real time, and you feel safety again without the overwhelm. The first, it's the first notice, like, oh, this is how it feels, this is how I scan, this is how I rewire. And you feel more reconnected to your feminine energy in a grounded way. So yeah, that is really what I created, and I really loved to do it. And you can find, I don't know if I said it, but you can find the link in my bio. And to close it off, but what I really want to say is, you are not behind, you are just protected, and your body is waiting for you to come back home to your true safety within. Welcome home, beautiful. I always say that. And I wish you all the blessings. Bye.